Well, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants event. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I'll be your host for today. This month, we've been celebrating women in science and exploration. We do this every February. We kick all the men out, and we host women in science, exploration, adventure, and conservation from all over the world. It's been an incredible month so far. We've already hosted 40 plus live events. I can't believe it's already the last day of February. Time flies when you're having fun. It's been such an honor this month. It's been a blast to be sharing so many stories of so many amazing women from around the world and sharing the incredible work that they're doing day in and day out. So one of our final events this month, we are heading live to Lewa Wildlife Conservancy in Kenya. Lewa serves as a safe refuge for the critically endangered black rhino and the endangered gray zebra, as well as the elephant, lion, giraffe, wild dog, and other iconic species found in Kenya. The Conservancy is also home to more than 400 species of birds. So today we're going to be joined by two incredible women who work at the Conservancy. We've got Halima Hassan joining us. She is an environmentalist and climate change activist. She joined Lewa Wildlife Conservancy as a conservation educator volunteer and is now working as a primates research field assistant at the Conservancy in the Department of Wildlife and Research. We also have B. Karenja joining us. She is a strategic communications consultant. She has more than 2 decades of experience in conservation, journalism, and advocacy. B is currently Lewa's communications consultant. She's responsible for steering the organization's brand and messaging. She's also a Kenya Wildlife Service honoree warden for Kenya's southern region. This honor is given by the national governing body for outstanding contributions to Kenyan conservation. She was also appointed to the judging panel of the prestigious Tusk Conservation Awards. So this award recognizes individuals for their efforts in conserving Africa's natural heritage. All right, that's enough for me. I am going to turn it over to the team at Lewa. We can't wait to learn more about these two incredible women. Take it away.
To see you, and we're very happy to have you with us today. Today I'm Beatrice Karanja, and I am joined by my wonderful and dear colleague Halima. Halima is from the research department, as Joe had earlier intimated. So I think given that Joe has introduced us, why don't we just launch right into it and get things going. So, but before I go, I want to ask Halima if, so Halima, you make the noise of your favorite animal. And I have to guess which that animal is. And I think kids, you can do this later when you're at home with your parents or in school with your friends. You play this guessing game. So I'm going to try and now guess what Halima's favorite animal is. Do it again. Zebra?
No.
No?
No.
Like a grunting noise. Noise. Is that a predator?
No.
A baboon. Oh my god. Okay, Halima, tell me.
I know the sound is right, but it's rhino.
Rhino! Oh my god. Okay, we'll have to go around to the rhino and find out what that noise is. So yeah, I'll tell you mine, but I don't think I'll get mine right. It's like a
bird?
no. It's on four legs, and it's got a tail that goes like this. Warthog. You must play that at home with your parents.
That's awesome.
With your friends in school. So Halima, tell us about your journey in conservation. I think it's so important for our audience and our viewers to understand, the journeys that we all go through as women, for yourself as young women, in an environment, in a sector that really isn't. You don't find a lot of women or going into that type of work. So could you tell us a bit about yourself and a bit about how Lewa has impacted you and through your life?
Okay, thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Halima Hassan, and my journey was awesome all through. I am so passionate about environment, science, nature, and wild animal, my passion. So I started when I was very young. I loved wild animal and planting trees and flowers around our compound. Yeah, and every time I plant a tree, that tree will not dry. It will grow. So my mom was like, you know what, you need to do this more. So I started there, and I'm just from a community around Lewa. So as I was growing up, I admired the work of Lewa in conservation. So, and I was like, one day I need to be like Lewa. I want to do what Lewa is doing. So through my primary, I later joined my high school, doing the same, planting trees. I love doing that. And when I joined my university, I studied, so Lewa's work really inspired me to pursue what I did. Like I did geography and environmental study, and Lewa really inspired me to do that because I really want to do conservation work. And I'm a beneficiary of Lewa education program. So when I joined university, I was like, I need to do this. And everybody from my community was like, what is this you're doing? It will not help you. You'll be just planting trees and doing what? That's, that was my call.
Yeah.
And I stood on my ground, and I was like, this is the way, this is what I want to do. And after I graduated, I joined Lewa. I volunteered with Lewa Conservation Education Program since 2019, and I've been doing conservation education program. And I later joined the research department, and like doing the primate research. So my work is all about like environment, all through. And that's what I love doing. Yeah.
And so as a scientist, what did you focus primarily on your science classes, or did you deviate a bit and then come back, or you knew right from the beginning this was it, this was the one?
Right from the beginning, I knew that's my path and this is what I will do. So I didn't take.
You were telling me a story earlier about in school when the teachers asked. So can you tell us that story?
Yeah, I remember I was in Form 2 when Wangari Maathai passed on, and our teacher called us to the assembly ground, and she was like, you know what, we lost one of our like environmentalist hero and heroine, and now I'm asking, I don't know what will happen to our environment next. So who will be the next Wangari Maathai? And then I was alone, me, I will be the next Wangari Maathai. Yeah. So since then, I got that motivation, and I felt like I need to do what Wangari Maathai was doing. And I hope one day I will be the next Wangari Maathai.
Fantastic. So everyone who's listening, Wangari Maathai was a Nobel Peace Prize winner, and she won the Peace Prize for her passion and her advocacy and her fight for we look to her as our beacon as we go on. So Halima, when you had mentioned that you're from a community in neighboring Lewa, and you've seen and you've been inspired by Lewa all your life, but is it common for young girls and young women to take the path that you have taken? And if what was the environment, what was the situation that allowed you to be who you are today, the Halima that we know and love?
Was so passionate about environment. So passion was one thing. The other thing was support from my parents. Yeah, my dad was working in a conservancy, so he really also inspired me, and it was a challenge like for me to go in this field, but later everyone was like, you can do something better than this, you can be a doctor, you can be, this. But for me, I stood my ground and I felt this is what I need to do, and I overcome like everything, and I was focused, and I guess that's why, and passion was everything that helped me to to be where.
And then when you went ahead and you went to university, did you find a lot of young women in the classes that you were with? And how would you encourage young girls and young women on this path, or who are behind you? How would you encourage them to just keep at it?
It's not easy, but I guess right from my community, like I had that challenge, like being from that community, everyone like is like, you are pride, you need to do something else. And then I can say I was the only lady from my community who went and do the geography and environmental studies. And later when I joined university, I guess we were around 5 or 6 only, but I guess we were around only 3 who did pure, we specialize in pure geography and environmental study. So it's a challenge, it's a challenge still in university because we are very few. But I guess when you are so passionate about like what you are doing, I guess there's nothing impossible. And the other thing is like you believe in whatever you are doing. And I guess that will be everything for you.
I think we all take a leaf from our Ambassador Eliud Kipchoge, who he always reminds us that no human is limited, so everything should be unlimited in what we do. Which brings me to what now you're doing, how you are inspiring, the ones behind you, so to speak. So could you tell what do you do with the young people in the community in Manyangalo? Tell us about that. Tell the audience about that.
Okay, after my school and after I joined Lewa and volunteer with Lewa, I felt like I need to do something more than that. I felt like I need to give back to my community. I want to give back to Lewa, So what I did is like I started an environmental club back in my community.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and what I'm doing with that is like I'm trying to engage women and youths empowerment, and also to engage them in environmental conservation. And we are doing tree planting, and we have, most of the time we do like cleanup. And then we have mentorship program. So we are starting, and something else I love like engaging women. Why? Because for me, I feel women are the managers of the environment, and they are very close to the environment. And every time we talk about the environment, I guess we need to involve more women into the environment and science. Why? Because their role is centered more of like dealing with the environment and guardians of the environment. And I guess we need more and more women in conservation and in science. Because women are very, they nurture everything. So whatever they touch turns to be gold. So me, I believe like working with women and working with the youths will really help. So I'm engaging the women in my community and engaging the youths in my community without like everybody is on board, even the males, the wazis in my community. So like we have them, but I love like mostly doing work with women, like having tree nursery, like we can work with them, So that's what I'm doing, and I believe in creating a world whereby everyone is aware of environment and care for the environment.
Cool, excellent. And then, so now coming back to your Lewa every day, So if you can tell our audience, your every day, you're Halima, a scientist, a primate researcher, wildlife researcher. What does that involve? I'm sure every day is not the same. So, what can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I work as in research, primate research assistant, and every day I'm in the field from morning to the evening. Yeah, like following up the vervet monkeys mostly. Yeah, I spend most of my day with them, like studying and collecting data, like that's what I'm doing. Yeah, every day. And it's something interesting because I learn a lot from the vervets and everything when I'm in the field with them. Also in the environment, I learn something different every day. So every day is a learning process for me, and I enjoy what I'm doing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And when you talk about the vervet monkey, what is so unique about the vervet monkeys? Why did you pick, Lewa is the home of Grevy's zebra, rhinos, elephants, the more majestic, iconic species, but you've chosen the vervet monkeys.
I guess there's literal research done on vervet. Yeah, and something else is about vervet. They are very intelligent animal, and they are more of like human being. And yeah, so I felt like I need to do the vervets because there's some holes we need to, like we have gaps in research of vervet. So I felt like that's the best thing for me to do.
Wow.
But I love doing even other animals. We go for the zebra, we go for the rhino body condition and everything.
Right,
But
right,
yeah.
So then, would you say that there's very few women primate scientists today that could be there, but we just don't know about them? Or is it? I mean, is it because you don't really? Again, you think of primate research. We know of the fantastic work that Jane Goodall has done. We know of Gladys Kalema in Uganda, but do you think it's something that you'll start seeing more of?
Yeah, I guess it's something you're going to see more of because since I was young, I really admired the chimps. Since they're endangered, and I really love to study them. But unfortunately, now I'm doing the vervet,
Right.
and hopefully, maybe I will get that chance to do the chimps.
Right.
Yeah, but I guess it's something we will see more women like doing so unique things.
Right.
Like vervet is very unique.
Right.
Nobody is like, let's do vervet. Vervet, it's very common. It's many. It's there. So I guess, yeah, we will have more women doing that.
Right.
Yeah, and we have them maybe.
Maybe we it's just to find them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, Halima, tell us a little bit about you do climate change activism. You're doing greening activism in terms of reforestry and just bringing more young people into this fold. Where if I had to see Halima in, I don't know, 10 years from now, who is the Halima I'm seeing?
Halima will be I'm seeing myself to be in a leadership position whereby I will make policy about environment. I will talk for the environment, and I will stand in for the environment. So hopefully, yeah, in the next maybe 5 to 10 years, I will be somewhere where I'll talk more than I will make policy, and I will be the one who will pass, and justice for the environment and justice for the wild animal.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you were given a day today to pick a policy or to change something that is really, that would be a milestone for the environment, for the country, for Kenya, what would you change?
I guess one thing I'll change is about like deforestation. And deforestation is cause of everything. We are talking of the climate change, we are talking of the global warming. So I guess we need to enforce. We have laws, but we need to enforce our laws. And we need to like, we need to be very strict on them. So I guess deforestation is one thing. If you cutting down a tree, I guess we need to have punishment for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
And there's no like, it's in my farm. It's no, we need to, deal with them. So I feel like, for me, deforestation is one thing, and pollution. So we need to like be very strict with the environmental, like anyone who is like polluting the environment, and
Rivers and
littering environment, and I want to maybe pass that policy whereby everyone should take that responsibility, be it's your responsibility and you have to do that, you need to, I guess that's one thing I love to do.
Which reminds me, I guess, one of the biggest landmark decisions that has been made in Kenya, or that was brought forward, was by our former Environment Minister Judy Wahungu, who helped talk about banning plastic bags. So I think that could be something that would be, you'd be up there with Judy in
ban no deforestation, no deforestation.
Right,
You do it, have your forest in your farm, do it there. But you do it with which type of the trees? We do the exotic trees. Let's preserve our indigenous tree. Because many of us go for the hardwood, the indigenous tree. And to have that tree back will take us years. So for me, I guess the laws are there, but we need to enforce it.
Right.
So deforestation, we ban it totally.
But and I guess also, growing, because where you're from, Manyangalo, you're neighboring Garandare, so you've also grown up in that environment where you're just surrounded by trees, by this beauty, by the wildlife. So it's just making sure that those that come after and after and after get to experience and enjoy the same thing that you do.
Sure. It's what we are working toward that, and in years to come, like few years to come, I guess it's for I'm working in my community. But it's something I want to expand out to the other communities.
Right.
So maybe in the next few years, like everyone around my community, everyone around Lewa will understand like this is our environment and we need to conserve our environment. And it will come from their heart.
From inside.
Because
we have to, I think we have to drive it. We have to be our own inspiration as well, as women. So I think what we'll do is there's some questions coming in from our audience. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. So we'll just go, I'll just start launching into them. So, Halima, what do you enjoy most about your job?
Like I enjoy every bit of it. I don't have specific, but I enjoy everything about what I do. From taking care of the environment, research, so like walking like that journey and everything. So there's nothing like there's nothing I can be very specific on, but I'm happy and like I like everything I do. And be something else, it's I like before I told like science, nature and wildlife are my passion. And doing what you like, doing it is a blessing for me. So I'm happy about it.
Oh, great. Excellent. So here we go. What is your favorite animal to see in the Conservancy?
Okay, I love all animals, but let me be very specific. I love rhinos.
Why?
one thing they're endangered, so I want to see like more of them, and I just love how they their social life, how they live, how they graze. And particularly I love the black rhino, the browsers. So
Excellent, excellent. Here's an interesting one. I like this one. Thank you, whoever's asked this one. Is there a part of your job that isn't fun, but you have to do it? And it doesn't involve paperwork.
sorry, come again.
Is there a part of your job that isn't fun, but you have to do it?
There's
Paperwork.
oh, paperwork. Okay.
It must be. Is there? No. Okay. And then, does working in the Conservancy as a woman present any challenges that your male colleagues don't face?
I guess one challenge is okay for me, like whenever I'm in the field with this dress and the hijab, I'm like, will I be able to do this, but I guess that other than that, they respect us and they see us as part of them. So I don't think we have any other challenge. I've never like encountered any. So
okay. And then what kind of primates do you work with, and what type of research do you do with them?
Okay, we work with we research the vervet monkeys, and what we do is like we study their social life, their feeding habit, and the interaction with human beings. So that's what we are researching on that vervet, and also we every day like we discover something new, and we take note of what we discover in the field.
So would you say is the most interesting thing you've learnt about vervets?
Their social life, how they usually like work together, that they love each other, and every time they have the newborn in the family, it's responsibility of the whole family, so they take care of that. So I love how they usually, even when the mom is not closer to the newborn, the other one will take the baby, and they will step in and take the baby. So I love how they usually like relate. When one is sick, they will always be around each other. So they are more of human beings. So the responsibility they have, each one of them have a responsibility in the family, and they punish it where they have different alarm call for different things, for the snake, for the leopard, for the eagle. And when a certain maybe young juvenile make a wrong call, that they will punish that young
for crying wolf, so to speak.
She's trying or he's trying to give the wrong alarm. And when the young one is like crying out and the mom is not around, the member of the family will be looking at the mom like, your kid is, so
cool.
interesting.
That's very, very cool. Here's another interesting one is, what type of trees do you plant with the environment group? Was there a lot of deforestation in the area, and is that why the trees are being planted?
Not really. We plant trees not because there was deforestation. We don't allow deforestation at the first place. So we are doing it just to have more green cover in the environment, and we usually do the indigenous tree. We are trying to embrace the culture of the indigenous tree. Now that we are talking of the climate change, and one thing to do is like to fight the climate change, we need to have like green like we need to have forests,
Right,
you know,
right,
but the forest should have the right type of the tree. So we go for the indigenous. Why? Because it absorbs a lot of carbon from the atmosphere.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
but for the exotic, their carbon intake is very low. They grow fast and their water intake also is very high. But for the indigenous, it's well adapted to the environment,
Yes,
to the
yes.
climate of the environment. So yeah, we are trying to embrace the culture of planting the indigenous tree.
Right. And also, just to let the audience know that we are in an area where we've got two water towers, two water towers in Gawandare. We've got Mount Kenya, so we're already in forest cover. But as Halima says, it's important to keep that forest cover and to keep greening our spaces, especially when our neighbours north of us are in very fragile ecosystems and rely on these water towers for their livestock and for their sustenance. So that's a quite important thing to remember as we go on. And then going back to your family life, how does your family feel about the career you chose?
Okay, yeah, it was. You know, at first my dad really wanted me to do something different. You know, he wanted me to be an engineer, a doctor, you know. And I was, you know, Dad, this is what I want and I love doing this. And my mom was like, usually since I was young, you know, you love planting trees. And every time you plant a tree, that tree always like survives, you know. And even in, like my neighbors usually call me and please plant for us a tree, and I do that. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So my mom was like, let her do this.
Yeah,
And my dad, you know, he most of his time is like he worked in a conservancy. So he also like later he agreed, like, and yeah, he supported me, my brothers, and everyone supported me.
Great.
And passion was like fear, number one. Yeah, so that's how. And being a girl from my culture now, you know, they see like you in the field, like you can't survive there. We are that fragile. Even the community feel like we are that fragile. But it's all depend on passion. And there's nothing you can't do when you are passionate about it. So for me, environment and science is my passion.
Right.
From
So
there
then tell us. So there's a question someone has really brilliantly asked and said, so what is if you have to reflect on a day that really gives you pride and like warms your heart and your soul and your being, what is that day? What day do you remember vividly on Lewa in your job and in your work that really shakes your tree?
Okay, well, I was at conservation education program. Whenever we interact with kids, you know, planting trees with them, talking to them, you know, I felt like, you know, I needed more of that. I really needed like to every time to do that with them, you know, with kids like on the ground doing what you love. It's so amazing. So I guess every time I'm at school, like, because we were visiting like the Lewa supported school, planting trees and passing that message of conservation. So I guess that was the most.
I was looking at your vervet monkeys
It's
creating graphic. But no, but it's true. I think, you know, being part of someone else's journey when they're going through it must be so inspirational to you, because it's almost like you're seeing yourself coming, you know, and this could have been me, and someone, you know, as someone took interest or I was allowed to, then I can impart the same knowledge to the younger ones and bring them along on a similar journey, but let it be their journey. But
another one I really remembered. In my community, I have kids. I usually like mentor. So every time I'm at home, they call me, Halima, we have this tree. We've been planting this. I feel like, okay, this is amazing. So every time I go home, they call me, Halima, please come and look what we are doing.
And
So
see,
it's
yeah.
amazing, you know.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah,
That's so great.
it's so great. So every time I go home and I'm at home, I can get like kids coming to our home asking my mom, is Halima in? We want to talk to Halima. So every time I go, and what they show me is like the trees they planted, the
Yeah,
seedling they
yeah,
collected,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
most amazing thing.
I think it also just goes to speak to women in leadership in conservation, and I think leadership should not be seen at a level. It should be, we should be leaders at every step on our journey. You know, we should always strive to be the best that we can do, the best that we can give in everything that we, you know, in our passion and in our wish for the environment, for natural, because this is our natural heritage, you know. So it's up to us also not to just think that you have to be at the top of your game to be a leader. You can be a leader along the way, all along the way, and it doesn't have to be big. It can be,
You start where you are.
yeah, exactly.
Where you are
Yeah,
the moment
yeah.
you are. So for me, if I was to wait, I guess it will take many years for me to start that. So I felt like this is my time. I need to do this and I need to start this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's the same with me. I think, you know, from when I was a kid, when my mum would come and take us out of school on a Friday, and we'd be in some park or some conservatory or something, you know, and that love for just the reminder that this is, as a Kenyan citizen, this is your natural heritage, this is what you should aspire to leave behind. And so in whatever you do, you may not necessarily be in conservation, but you can do your bit even outside of conservation, whether it's making sure you're littering or even just, like you say, just planting a tree because you can plant a tree, right? I think those kinds of things are so important, and but more so is to remember that you don't have to be at the top to be a leader. You can be at any moment in your life, whether you're 5, whether you're 15, whether you're 50, you can be a leader, and you can really drive people along on that journey and bring that people on that journey with you. Yeah.
That's true.
Here we go. Do you name them? This is what I wanted to know. Do the vervets that you study know you?
We name them.
Okay,
like we know
so
their
someone has
name.
asked, do you name the vervets?
Yeah, we name the vervet. We know them, and they are very like they feel they are safe whenever we are around with my colleague. You know, we are two with my colleague. So Ken, I'm working with Ken. So like every time we are around, and they feel like they are safe whenever we are there. So they're just moving around us, doing their things. So we feel like we are much close to them.
Yeah. Is there one particular family that is notorious compared to another in terms of like going through windows and nicking food? And
In every family we have one, two. So, but something else is like you need to, you know, they are animals.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, so what we need to do is like you be careful about what you're doing. Close the door behind you. Close the windows. Yeah, because we are animals and we have to live with them.
Yeah.
So I guess that's all, and we need to be like live with them in harmony. Yeah.
Do you notice? In fact, I wanted to also ask: do you notice on the Conservancy that a family will stay in a specific area and not really leave the perimeter of that area?
Yeah, they have their territory, and they will not get out of that territory. So every moment, like they try to get into the other, like into other territory, they really fight.
Wow.
You know, they have territories, so
Yeah.
they can't get out of their territories.
Yeah. So there's a question here about my philanthropy work and some of the interesting projects I'm involved in. I think the one that I'm there's so many, you know. I support Lewa's rangers, I support Lewa's education program, I support Tustras, I support Uvumbuzi, but I think, you know, I can't really, you know, they're all interesting to me, you know, whether it's supporting Reteti and the rewilding of the orphan elephants. I think that was very interesting for me, and just seeing that there's a community that have rescued these orphaned elephants, taken care of them, and are now part of rewilding them still within the community, so the elephants haven't left that area. I thought that was, to me, that really fascinates me. I'm very interested in working with young people in conservation, or working with a trust called Uvumbuzi, and hopefully I've told Halima about it. But I think there's no... Everything for me is interesting just because it shows, one, innovation, it shows passion from Kenyans to take care of their own natural heritage and their own environment and conserve their wildlife and protect their wildlife. I think that, to me, is what really, that's what I really enjoy the most. But I, you know, I would say anything that has to do with the community is what interests me, and to ensure that the community, their ownership of their green spaces, the ownership of their natural heritage, their governance of it, their understanding, and then them also seeing the benefits come back to them is just, that's it. That's the best part.
So, I may ask, why are you so passionate supporting women? What's like?
I think, you know, it goes back to what you were saying, Halima, where we are the, you know, we're no nurturers, right? We're nurturers, and then we're also the... we utilize, at least for us here on the continent, we utilize nature. You know, if it's women collecting firewood, women going to collect water from the rivers, or even tending the, you know, in terms of agriculture, I think 80% of small scale farmers are women in Kenya. So I think there's that, you know, we're the pillars, we're the backbone, but at the same time we're the voiceless. So I think that is what inspires me to ensure that more women come to the table. I think we can maybe finish up with this last one, which is very pertinent, which talks about how COVID has affected our work and our lives. How is that?
But I guess before that, can I ask you like more about like tell us more about the place of women leadership, like and conservation, women leadership and conservation.
Yeah, I think it's growing. You know, I think if I look at you, Halima, I know, I know it's growing. You know, there's a movement of women in conservation, you know, and I think we shouldn't, you know, I was talking to a dear friend of mine for an event that we're hoping to host next week about, you know, women in it's the challenges are, you know, whether, as I said, whether you're at the top of your game or you're just starting out, or I think the challenges are always there, you know, just to own your space, to really amplify your voice and not to shy away. So I think we need more women in science, more women in conservation philanthropy. We just need more women to the table, and then to join them, our brothers and, you know, who are already there, because it will come from a collective and a collaborative place. But at the same time, let's also recognize that as women we also have a role to play and a part to play in all of this. Yeah. So I think also if we look at our work, especially, when I talk about leadership and the growth of women in this sector, I think another sector that we're seeing a lot of women come up with is women rangers. We're seeing a lot of female rangers come up, and not so much female rangers, maybe sitting in a radio room and just report with, they're literally becoming the boots on the ground. We've got our female rangers here, Purity and the rest of them, and they are just phenomenal, the sacrifices that they have to make as female rangers in a seriously male-dominated world, and they're really taking their space, their place at the table, and ensuring that they're also encouraging other young girls to think about it. I think about being female rangers and just being in this space. Like I was telling you earlier, at the unfortunate and very solemn occasion last week of the memorial of our late colleague Ian, where the Kenya Wildlife Service pilots came up, and of 4 of them, 2 of them were young women, and I think that is great. So it's it's like women pilots, women scientists, women rangers, women philanthropists. I think conservation needs all of this, and we shouldn't shy away from being more bold at saying, we want a space at the table, and we have something to offer, and it's something that we can, as men and women, we can journey on this go on this journey, but it is to also bring up the young girls and things like that. Yeah. So I think let's talk about, because I think it would be interesting for our audience to know that how COVID has affected us here, in terms of the work that we do and things like that. I think obviously the biggest effect for us is as a conservancy with these stunning tourism facilities that we have, and COVID just being COVID and restrictions, is the we're not seeing as many visitors as we usually see, and our friends and brothers and sisters from overseas coming to visit us. I think that's what is to me has affected me the most, of just how we're becoming closed and limited in our experiences and our adventures, and but I suppose that's why we have the internet, these things, so that we can continue telling the story. But I think it's affected us in terms of just the economic livelihoods that has affected our community members, and things like that. So I think that to me is the most difficult part of COVID-19.
People from our community lost their job, like it's all over. And they are struggling, they are really struggling back in the community, taking back the kids to school. And for me, something else is about, like I enjoy like going to the school to create awareness, to plant trees, to do this, but unfortunately
we can't do that anymore.
Now we can't have that mass tree planting, we can't have that massive creating awareness and everything. So I guess it's really affecting us in both in environmental part and even in our livelihood.
So when you have when you bring your group, your mentor group together, do you have to now have smaller pockets of group and do it more often, or are you just not allowed to do that anymore?
We can do it now, we can do a very small group, but I love engaging the whole community. We plant tree, we do something, but unfortunately now everything has slowed down, and wait for maybe for things to open up. But
And in the schools, is it learning must be difficult and things like that, and also their environmental programs have come to a standstill?
sure. You can imagine kids you having their mask and sometimes they can put it off. You know, they are kids; they are not used to it. So I guess that's another challenge. And they are also like they have their challenge back in the schools. Yeah.
I think that's a nice bridge into what my last question for you, and then we have to close off. But maybe you can close off by telling us what you envision for the girls in your community, and what does success look like?
Okay, for me, like I want to see like more girls, more women in science and conservation. Yeah, I really love to see that, and I'm okay in my community. I'm working towards that, and I guess in the next maybe 5 years we will have more of Wangari mothers from our communities around. And for me, success is whereby we see like our environment thrive, our wild animal is thriving, and everybody is in harmony with environment and our wild animal. And something else like, like we are there, we are starting, someone is starting, we have maybe a young, like a girl like starting now, and there's challenge. And for me, maybe what I want to like to tell them is that believe in yourself. Always believe in yourself, have that passion, and stand your ground. Yeah, and everything you do matters to science and to the society. So I guess for me, passion and believe, like always like stand your ground. And we'll have more women. We need people like you, because you also mentored me. I remember I met you back when I was in university. Like I have women I have women that who has always have mentored me to be who I am now. So they're all women, like women of, every time I'm out there, I feel like I'm representing you, I'm representing B, Faith, Rhoda, like all those. And I feel also to inspire and to mentor. So maybe I can have someone talking about, Halima inspired me, Halima did, not one, but more of them,
I'm sure that will happen, Halima, without doubt. Without doubt. I know that will happen. I know that will happen. Great. Well, so to our audience, Halima and I say thank you very much. We challenge you to go and make your animal noises and try it out to see if you can get it like us. And we look forward. We really look forward to hosting you again, seeing you again, and more importantly, seeing you here on Lewa.
We have a quote from Wangari Maathai: be a hummingbird.
Be your own hummingbird.
Hummingbird, The little thing you do will make a change. So try to take care of our environment and inspire others.
Great. Excellent. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Well, a huge shout out to our classrooms tuning in live today and those who will be tuning in later via YouTube. Thank you for sending in great questions and joining us today. Of course, a massive thank you to Bee and Halima for an amazing event today. You are true trailblazers, and thank you for showcasing the excellent work that you do and that takes place at the Conservancy day in and day out. One last shout out to the crew behind the scenes for making this event possible. Thank you for another fun broadcast. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we can't wait for our next virtual